me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
It's time!
All right, Fred, so here we are, episode 3, Crazy Smooth Combat Radio. Yours truly, Big Smoothie, here with my man, Mike Musatelli, and it's been about a month, I think, a month and a half.
Bit of delay, yeah.
You know, I don't know what your problem is. You don't want to hang out with me, you know.
I got to be important.
Is that what it is?
Hanging around you, it just...
I'm not very important
it
at all.
just knocks me down.
Yeah. I feel very...
Kid, you have far more celebrity status.
Not really.
I'm waiting for the point where I can walk through a mall and be like, oh, him, and that hasn't happened yet.
You know what, what we can do is I can take the bullhorn from here, and we can go to the mall and be like...
And you're just going to shout into it.
I'd be like, this is Mike Musatelli.
I fight people in cages.
He beats people up for a living.
For monies.
$20, they'll punch you in the face right now.
Right now.
We'll make some money.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's... Well, I don't know if people volunteer themselves.
You'd be surprised.
Okay.
You'd be surprised.
There are a lot of weird people. That's fair.
So, how are you been, man, since we haven't talked and chatted?
How are I been? Yeah. I are been good, man.
Yeah?
A lot of good things going on. It's the off season for Bellator. They kind of run like a TV season schedule type thing, and right now it's between season 9 and 10. So just kind of finally getting a chance to heal up some old bumps and bruises. Hopefully next year, looking at attorney shots. If not right out the gates after a few more fights. A lot of good things going on. And, just excited to see where it goes because this was the first, full season really on Spike.
Right.
So, I've been in contact with some of the people over at home base and they tell me about their plans and just looking forward to getting moving again. Right now it's the winter. Everything's snowed up in here, so...
Yeah,
sit down and
it's
I want to get fat and happy, but I can't quite because you never know,
when you're gonna be fighting.
Yeah, probably around March again. So I got a little time, but you don't want to. I don't want to be. You don't want to go up to 260 and then try and get back in shape. You try and keep yourself somewhat functioning.
A little bit.
Enough functionality.
So we are definitely looking forward to some good things in 2014 with you and
Bellator. So
nice.
It'll be exciting, especially. Like I said, the Spike TV thing is huge, and especially with UFC being on Fox Sports and all that, there's kind of been a little bit of controversy with that because no one knows what the hell channel's on. And so
if you just follow the guide, you can find it.
Right? Well, yeah, that works because so many providers have channel 972. But
when we were kids and you just had... It was basic.
It was
so basic.
My house originally had the clicker dial.
Yeah. or you had the button dial where you had the 3. I don't know. Maybe I might be dating myself.
Was it the red lights, the red numbers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine was older than that. It had the actual physical dial with the numbers painted on it. And
yeah, exactly.
That's what it was. That's the good one.
And then
it went up to 9.
Yeah, as we got older, we finally got the scrambler. My father bought a scrambler off the street.
Oh,
who the hell knows what?
You rebel.
Yeah,
man.
that's what my father was.
Now look at you, a rock star.
Yeah, not me.
God, it just trickles through.
I did get to watch Woodstock. I think it was '94 on pay-per-view.
I think I remember being like really, really incredibly young, but it being on at the time. Did it happen like during a holiday-ish season, I feel like?
I don't remember.
Okay. Because I feel like I saw it on at my grandma's house, which would be weird. Because my grandma would have been watching it. But
why are the Red Hot Chili Peppers on the screen? What, Grandma?
Someone might have been. Or it might have been a replay. I just remember it. Or who knows? Who knows?
That's great. That's great. You speaking of getting old, you hit the dirty 30.
I did. I have turned over 3, which in like MMA years is 109.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that.
It's like dog years.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it works.
How do you feel, buddy? How's how's this 30? It really doesn't make that.
It doesn't make that much a difference. I felt old before this. Like it's you know, it is what it is. You have to start thinking about things which are interesting.
Sucks, doesn't it?
It does.
It really does.
You know, even as a fighter, you know, you don't want to be the guy that's 48 and like, I got it still, and you know, you're going on with a 12-fight losing streak, fighting at, you know, Joe's Crab Shack.
Kind of sound like Tito Ortiz right now.
Well, oh, hey,
Oh, hey, ha, whoa, hey.
spicy,
Hey.
spicy.
That was kind of mean.
That was.
kinda mean.
It was. That could be a future opponent.
Yeah, maybe.
So in which
he doesn't
case,
break his
Tito,
neck.
brother, oh my God, right? How do you break your neck?
Yeah, maybe he fell down Big Bear. Who the hell knows? I mean, who knows? But that, you know, you hit the 30 years old. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, well, you know, I hit it. I'm still standing.
Was there a party? What'd you do that night? Because I had a Christmas party that I did invite you to that you happened to not, which I knew
I
you weren't
had.
coming,
Well, I had to
but-
have the bat.
Right.
If it was the birthday,
Right.
I had to do me, bro.
I'm
I had to
sorry.
do me,
I'm sorry,
man.
my bad.
No, he wasn't that crazy. We what did we do? I went out and early in the day and had a massive burger. That's what it was. That was the big thing.
You had a burger.
I went down to Allen Angus, which no one but the people around here will know. but
Alan Angus got good burger.
They do. Then they got a burger that has prime rib on it. But then I asked them, I'm like, hey, this burger has prime rib on it. Can I get another burger on top of that with prime rib on it? And they did it.
Really?
It was amazing. So that was how I started. And
Is
then,
that going to be like a Mike Musatelli special? Maybe
I
we
hope
can get
so.
that on a burger.
We can call, you know, because
Hey,
they
Alan
have a
Angus,
name
you
for
listening
it.
right now?
Right?
Huh? Yeah.
Someone over there, dial it in, the Crazy Mike Burger.
There you go.
Make it so.
Crazy Mike burger.
Or to call it like the Octagon, and you have to step into the Octagon. I don't know. I'm thinking of, I'm trying to help them out with advertising.
Yeah, I see. You're doing very well. You're very
I
well. You
am,
should have
right.
your own agency.
See, and that's the things that I have to think about when I'm 30. Full circle. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. And then I went over to my girlfriend's house for a while, and with my brother.
He makes every episode. I don't understand.
Does. Well, we're going to insult him in a second anyway, so we're going to keep a tradition going.
All right, cool.
And I'm like, all right, let's hang out. Let's watch some really bad movies. Mystery Science 3000 it up, have a few drinks,
right.
mock it and drink. And he puts on, like, Clue, like good movies that you want to pay, like Blues Brothers. I'm like, no, man, that's like an actual movie. What's wrong with you? And he's like, well, I want to get involved in the plot. No,
Really? He said that?
He did. He did. This is not a joke. And I'm like, no, put on something crappy. He's like, well, no matter what, I'm going to try and find the plot. So we spent like an hour arguing. I'm like, I hate you. This is my birthday, my 30th birthday, and you're just. I was so mad at him. We ended up finding something, a grindhouse flick on Netflix called Nude Nuns with Big Guns. And it was an amazing
Was it a porn flick? I
No.
mean, it sounds like a porn
It was
flick.
Grindhouse, so it's on the line.
Right.
But it was ridiculous, and it was awesome.
And that's how you spent your 30th
Well, that's
birthday?
how we started, and then I
Okay.
went out to. I met my sister and the rest of my family. They were already out down at what's that place in Liverpool?
Retreat?
Yeah,
Cobblestone?
Cobblestone.
There you go. All right.
Cobblestone. Went there, spent the night there, played some shuffleboard,
Wow.
a little pool, got in a fight with a girlfriend.
Nice. You don't have any black eyes, so you seem to be all right.
Right. Well, hey, you learn how to avoid these things.
No elbows to the face.
No
Nothing
no
cut
elbows.
Open. You're good.
I got the height advantage. I can keep her at the end of the jab. It helps.
Sounds like a good time.
It wasn't too bad. A
spent-
little low key. It was good.
You spend time with your family.
Right.
Attaboy.
Right. That means you're growing old, right? When you start spending time with your family,
Yeah.
instead of just a bunch of random people downtown that you vomit on. Then you know that you're getting old.
Then you know you've arrived.
Right now, it's all
arrived.
downhill.
Yeah, it is. It
One
is.
foot in the grave.
So last weekend, you had an opportunity to head down to Philly, I believe it was.
Yes.
Philly, right?
Yes, sir.
And a whole bunch of your teammates that you have here from
Yeah.
Taikai had a tryout for Bellator. How did that go?
It went awesome. We got some really, really good news for our guys. I can't say too much, but I'll just say we got really good news.
all right.
And that's going to be cool because it's going to be nice to put a really significant group of fighters in a big league from upstate New York. I think that's going to be a huge deal moving forward, with the legalization in New York and all that.
Right.
It's going to be just having a core group of people that can be, you could say, look, this is Syracuse, this is upstate, this is New York, we need it legal here. And it's just a good way to put our school on the map. It's a good way to put fighters from New York on the map. and it's a good way to just kind of put the city, in the map. And I think that's going to be pretty clutch. So, good news. Can't say too much. It was weird for me, because I tried out. I went to the Bellator tryouts twice. I didn't get signed at the event either time.
Denied twice.
I don't know if I'm going to say it because I don't think anyone's going to listen to it. That's from Bellator. But if they do, I'm probably going to get in trouble. They lied right to my face because on the press release, it's like where we discovered talent such as Mike Musatelli. I'm like, you liars, cut me twice, twice, sent me packing, and I had to go. The second time I got lucky though. I mean, it was roundabout way. Technically, they discovered me there. But they didn't sign me at it. I wasn't a winner at either the event. They announced the winners at the event. Neither time it was me.
One thing you're going to learn about advertising is it could be a quarter of a truth. But the truth is there.
The only part of the truth was that I was at the
That's
tryout.
all that matters. That's all that had to happen.
So, I mean, technically I did meet my manager there, and he had really good connections with Bellator. And then, but that's an industry term, by the way.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. But... So for this time, for me to be on the other side of it, like, I was really tweaked out because all these guys are clearly, like, looking at me like, yeah, I could beat that dude. Like, they're all eyeing me up. They're like, I want to be in Bellator so I could fight him. And I'm just sitting there like, hey, guys. Like, I didn't have anything really to do. I wasn't, like, trying to get myself amped up. Like, oh, I'm going to put on a show. Like,
yeah, right.
I was on the other side at, like, 200 people. Like, it was a huge tryout. It was, like, 200 people. And they're all like, "Oh, I can't wait to put on a show." And I'm just sitting there like, "I already did that. I guess I'll just hang out here and judge you." I don't
fight. That's about what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Here.
So it was weird. It was weird being on the other side because, and a lot of them kept coming up and thanking me for the opportunity. Like, thanks for being here. And I'm like, I don't.
See, here's the thing. The thing is.
I'm not the person whose ass you need to kiss.
Right,
it's
right.
Like,
Well, exactly. But you know what? A lot of those guys, and this happens basically in anything. I mean, even tryouts for football that I've had.
Yeah.
You don't know whose ass to kiss, so you kind of kiss everybody's ass.
Just universal.
Yeah,
just put it all out,
thanks, appreciate it.
Make it rain
stuff.
ass kisses.
Exactly. And sometimes you got to do that. So
hey, well, it was cool. It was weird, but it was cool.
And then maybe one day when you punch them in the face, they're going to thank you for that too.
Right. Well, and that's why you have the handshake, right? Which we'll address later on.
We will.
You hug it out.
That's right. Hug it. Yeah, we're going to see who's going to be hugging each other out coming up UFC 168. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about more. Of course, Crazy Smooth Combat Radio will be back right after this.
Life is tough. That's a given. When you stand up, you're going to be shoved back down. When you're down, you're going to be stepped on. My advice to you doesn't come with a lot of bells and whistles. It's no secret. You'll fall down, you'll stumble, you'll get pushed, you'll land square on your face. But every time that happens, you get back on your feet. You get up just as fast as you can, no matter how many times you need to do it. Remember this. Success has been and continues to be defined as getting up one more time than you've been knocked down. If experience has taught me anything, it's that nothing is free and living ain't easy. Life is hard, real hard, incredibly hard. You fail more often than you win. Nobody's handing you anything. It's up to you to puff up your chest, stretch your neck, and overcome all the difficult, the nasty, the mean, the unfair. You want more than you have now? Prove it. You want to be the very best there is? Get out there and earn it. Once you decide that, you will know where it is you want to be, and you won't stop pushing forward until you get there. That's how winners are made. At the end of the day, success is what we all want. We all want to win. And the race will be won. There's no question about that. So come on. Get out on top. Run faster. Dream bigger. Live better than you ever have before. This is in you. You can do this. Do it for yourself. Prove it to yourself.
And we are back here, Crazy Smooth Combat Radio. Yours truly, Big Smoothie, my man, Crazy Mike Musatelli.
What's going on?
And it's been an interesting, I guess, couple months for MMA in general.
Yeah, it's definitely some growing pains of the sport. So.
And I don't know if it's going to stop anytime soon because obviously you have your spectacle side of things.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You got people trash talking
Right.
and putting on the shows and big personalities and things like that.
And then you have the actual sports side of things, where sports side is kind of where you're local, where you're, the younger guys are coming up through, and you have to at some point put the spectacle on.
To get the attention and things like that. Because there's a lot of people that still don't know, their ass from their elbow when it comes to what MMA actually entails
Exactly.
or what it is. Or,
Yeah, everybody thinks they can walk into a gym and be like, I could do this.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing how many. Sorry, I caught myself. I was about to just let out a slew of vulgarities. But, like, training, anyone that's been at a legitimate MMA school for more than 6 months, you'll see 100 guys come in one day. I want to fight. And you're like, well, we can't let you fight yet. Well, then let me spar at least. I want to show you. I've been in a million street fights. What kind of training you have? No, I just beat people up all the time. Okay. And then the next day they're gone, and you never see them again.
Right.
Just every single day. So, no, the sport. For me, I want it to be regarded more as a sport. That's the thing. That's the divisive problem with MMA is you have to choose at one point because it does attract that WWF crowd.
Absolutely.
It does attract that I love just bleed, brah. That crowd. But you kind of got to get away from that as you want to grow larger. That caps out. That's the thing. That caps out at a maximum, crowd. Not everyone wants to watch the WWF because a lot of them are like, that's so friggin' ridiculous.
Right.
But everyone will want to watch it. A lot more people will watch a football game because it's they consider it a real sport.
Right.
Things
Yep.
like that. So when you're trying to get your foot into the water, at first you have to be a sportsman because no local fighters want it or local promoters want to have you around if you're just a giant cartoon act. But then as you get to the next level, you have to have a little bit of spectacle. You have to have a little bit of a character. You have to have something that draws you apart from 100 other 5-0
Right.
guys. But then as you get even bigger, you have to go back to try and get back to the sport aspect
Right.
because if you're just a clown, people stop taking you seriously. And that's kind of the growing pains that MMA as a whole is going through. It's like, do we want to push it still with the bleed, with the knockout, with the trash talking? Or do we want to start pushing it more towards this is a worldwide phenomenon. This is a sport that has to be taken seriously, that has to have Fox Network's covering it, that has to get main time coverage. It's interesting. So.
Or do you look at a point where you're like, okay, we're going to find the middle ground on both.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And go with that. You see, like you said, the Fox and then, of course, Spike picking it up, and the internet is rampant with sites everywhere and all that kind of stuff. And you look at it, and you're just like, all right, cool. And you get guys like King Mo that talk out of their ass and then get knocked out. Or, you know what I mean? You see the Diaz brothers or you know what I mean?
Who back it up real well.
Who do back it up well, and then they still get beat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you got guys like, per se, now hiatus guy, GSP.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who
quiet, well-disciplined, respects everybody and all that, and goes on, incredibly dominant. And that's one of the big things. This is I got an opinion on this, is how he was treated after the Hendricks fight. Look, GSP isn't in charge of the judges, whatever. To have someone come out and be like, oh, you owe this to the fans, you owe this to... He doesn't owe anything to anyone. He has made more money for the company. He's never been in a drunken car wreck. He's never been in a bar brawl. He's never been in a high-speed police chase. He's got the squeakiest clean record. He's been an ambassador of the sport. He's been able to be in advertising because he's a pretty boy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to get thrown right under the bus like that, just for the sake of what I'm assuming is spectacle, which is the hype. They want to hype a rematch, like, oh, he needs to do this. He needs, everyone's demanding this. They're up in arms over this. No one should be, Well,
it gets to a point where, like, who cares?
Right?
It's one guy making a decision. He's done what he's wanted to do. He's defended his belt how many times?
For
and
the better part
we'll
of
talk.
a decade.
We'll talk later about whether that should have been a win, shouldn't have been a win, whatever. We'll talk all about that. We'll get into that in the next segment. But he doesn't know anything. That's like any boxer, any any football player that says it's time for me to retire. A guy, perfect example is a guy like Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
Who did he owe at the time when he walked away from the game?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And people still clamor, why didn't he hang around
Yeah.
5-10 years long? You know, he could have been the greatest of all time. I still think that talent-wise, he's number 1 or 2 on the list.
And if you would have put an offensive lineman,
Oh,
a
God,
serious
yeah.
offensive line in front of him, he probably would have every
Yeah, he
record
would've-
and you wouldn't have touched it.
No,
You
it would
know?
have been crazy. But he knew when it was time to go, so he left. He didn't owe anything to the state. You know, he put in his heart, his soul, and
Right.
the better part of his youth
Yeah.
towards, you know, a single goal. You know, people just don't. People on the sidelines, just, you really don't I mean, I hate to say it, but the casual fan doesn't understand what goes into trying to be a fighter, trying to be a professional athlete, trying to do anything professionally. You know, it requires 24/7 dedication. If you want to be at the best point of it, you know, even top-level CEOs of a random company, they have to do this stuff all the time for years on end.
Your mindset every day, day in, day out, is the same thing.
You know, and it's friggin' tiring. And in MMA more so than I know I might be biased, but
No.
it's a little more so in MMA than most sports because especially with football or basketball or baseball, the other major sports to talk about, there's teams around you too. You have teammates where it's like, oh, well, they dropped the ball on this one. It's not my fault, or we failed as a team. You share your failure. In MMA, no, it's you. You're alone in there. If you fail, it's all you. It falls directly on you. And not only that, in other sports, there's another season, there's next week. You know, you can be in second place and first place and second place and third place, back in first place without even doing anything.
Right.
In MMA, if you're on top, like GSP was for that long, everyone is shooting for you all the time. And if you make one mistake, a giant man with lots of hate and training punches a massive hole in your face
Absolutely.
in front of several million people. It's a different kind of stress, you know, and to be on top, not just, oh, well, we'll get him next week.
Right.
No, every single day, everyone in the world is looking at him and how to beat him.
Yep.
I couldn't even.
Well, I mean, you look at a perfect example is the last 6 months in just per se UFC.
Yeah.
You look at John Jones, Gus put a whooping
him
on
apart.
him. You know what I mean? You look at Hendricks putting a whooping on GSP. I mean, these are guys that have been, like you said, on top for years at this point. You know what I mean? And nobody thought that they would get beat, but there's always going to be somebody coming around no matter what.
Well, both those. If you look at both those champs, they kind of came up at about the same time, and it was kind of a passing of the guard type thing. Especially, I know obviously a little more about the light heavyweight division.
Right.
Oh, wonder why. But it was when you look at what John Jones came in, he was going over Rampage and and Tito and people that were aging. A little bit more on the way down. And now you got this whole new crop of people that are coming up and that have been studying John Jones, GSP, since day one.
Right.
They're going, this is how to beat him. I think I could beat him by doing this, this, and this. And then that's going to catch up to you, man. That's the thing about this that makes this sport a little different. If you're up top holding that spot, you're trying to race ahead of other people, but they're going to be racing behind you faster. That's just the nature of it. You can't learn all new techniques faster than they can study you because they have more to work off of.
So we're talking whether it's going to go to the spectacle end or the sport end. Has Dana set things back at this point? Obviously, they're top dog. You know what I mean? And they do what they do. And then obviously with Bellator and some of the other fight shows and stuff like that come behind it. Has he set things back with the way they do things in UFC?
I think we need to start making up our mind as a whole, as a community, as a sport, which way we're going to go with it. And like I said earlier, I really believe dropping F-bombs at newscasts and engaging in Twitter wars with people, if you're, that's going to begin to cause people to shy away from the sport.
Right.
We had enough trouble breaking the human cockfighting imagery. We don't need, now we've got the dumb juice monkey at the bar with the Affliction shirt with the glitter, image that we got to shed now and start working up past that to the next one. The Just Bleed guy, the guy that, I just love stand and bang, bro. Just let me bang. We need to start moving. If we want to keep growing, we need to make a move as a whole. Sure. Pre-fight hype is as old as time.
Right.
Fine. That's gonna happen. But outside of that, going into these crazy, mega drama-filled, hissy fit type, childish Facebook war stuff, I'm not necessarily for that. We push for some class, because you're going to reach a bigger audience as a mainstream sport,
Right.
as opposed to a sideshow spectacle.
Social media allows the not so tough guy
Yeah,
to be a tough guy.
exactly. Well, everyone's an invincible black belt behind a keyboard.
Exactly. Exactly. Until you get face to face.
Yeah.
And then they're like,
I would love to. I can't remember who did it, but it was a few months ago. I want to say maybe even a year, but it was a boxer, pro boxer. This guy was bashing him on Twitter, and he used some connections to find out where the guy lives, and he started posting pictures. He's like, of his street. He's like, coming by your house.
Really?
Yep. And he's like, see if you got something to say still. And then he's showing a picture of his, and the kid's just doubling over backwards, like, oh, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it.
Yeah.
It was both a terrible moment, because really you shouldn't threaten to show up at someone's house and beat them up
Right.
legally.
Right.
But it was also
at least
really
not,
good.
because if he actually does get beat up, and then you're like, well, this was on Twitter.
Yeah,
What-
it was a really good moment, though, at the same time, to watch someone who was like, oh yeah, you're so garbage, I could beat you. I've trained so much Kenpo karate, and like, to watch them all of a sudden realize, well,
Not so much.
Not so much. Yeah,
Right.
was very satisfying.
Here's the other question I have on this. Now, with women's MMA coming up, obviously a big fight coming up at the end of this month, has at this point, it could go either way. I mean, obviously, it's made it to the mainstream now. Is Ronda screwing that up with how whiny she is and just
I
strange?
think she's starting to get under a lot of people's skin. I mean, she was great for the sport initially because, Olympian, all that, America, you
Right.
know, cool. Obviously not hideous. My girlfriend's nearby, so she isn't attractive enough. Honestly, though, honey, she doesn't really do anything for me. She doesn't really do much for me. That's just me. But a lot of people, obviously, it does it for
Sure.
them. My coach in particular. So, like, great, gonna draw eyes to the sport. She's got a background, legitimate athlete. She's going to bring, because a lot of people, the big problem with women's MMA were like, they're not legitimate fighters, Clearly,
Oh, they are.
Ronda has
Yeah.
a background in legitimate
Absolutely.
combat sports.
Right, exactly.
So it helps to bring that in. But then just the straight up road rules-esque drama, with her crying and giving the finger every 2 seconds and throwing things. And
Well, I mean,
it's almost a microcosm
after
of MMA.
watching The Ultimate Fighter,
Yeah.
like, you see how she really is, and you're like, are you serious right now? Like, this is
Well,
every little thing is like it becomes a huge issue, and you're like, wow.
wind it back, man. Wind it back.
Yeah.
You're going to be on the top. If you want to do this for a while, you're going to be on the top dealing with these cameras, dealing with this kind of stuff, people gunning for you, high tension, stress
Right.
for a long time.
Absolutely.
But, it's like I said, it's almost like the women's MMA scene is just a miniature version of the MMA scene as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
They got to deal with, do they want to go the high drama, high
Right.
intensity, high storyline angle,
Sure.
or do they want to make it more sportish and focus on that and focus on the combat aspect? Well, that's up in the air. So
We'll see how all that goes. All right, that's going to wrap up this segment. We'll be back right after this. We'll talk about GSP's retirement, Hendricks getting another title shot for the vacant title, and, of course, picks for UFC 168 coming up after this. Here we are back, segment 3, Crazy Smooth Combat Radio, and we'll get right into it, man. An amazing, pretty much month here in the world of MMA. Obviously, with the top guy, George St. Pierre. I don't know if you call it retirement, walking away at this
I
point.
hope it's retired.
I mean, it just should have went that, but taking a hiatus per se, leaving a vacant title, and all of that stuff. Did the whooping have something to play into this, or
I don't think so. This was coming. I mean, you listened to his interviews before the last 3 fights, and it was always, I am in my dark place,
Right.
and it's always going to be, no laugh for the GSP impression? Forget you.
No, that's pretty good.
I thought
though.
it was
That's
good.
pretty I'm sorry.
All right,
I'm
moving
sorry.
along. It was, yeah,
Kinda sounded like Pepe the Pew.
he hadn't been the same. He'd been talking about all this stress
Right.
and dealing with these other things, and and blacking out and aliens and losing track of time, and yeah, no, this was coming. And I hope that he stays out of it. Like I said, the man's got nothing left to prove. He's beaten the best of the best for the longest period of time out of anybody. Why keep going? Don't get bullied into it by, executives, by fans.
He doesn't know anybody. He doesn't know anybody.
I mean, this is the thing is he has sacrificed his entire 20s, the best years, what most people consider the year of your youth, to being the best at a single sport. And he did it, and he was. You have nothing left to prove, man. You're the greatest champ of all time. I think he's the greatest.
Without a doubt.
And why come back? Go home. Go drink a beer. Party.
Enjoy
have
the
some
rest
maple
of your life.
syrup. Whatever they do.
Maybe
in Canada.
do with
some
of the other guys. Yeah, right. And enjoy with some of the other guys. Maybe go into broadcasting or something like that. You know what I mean? Enjoy yourself.
I don't know if I would like to hear him on the mic. No.
No? You wouldn't want to hear that?
Just garbled French Canadian. No. But, go do movies. Go be pretty somewhere. Do something like that, man. Go make your millions. You got the star power. You did what you need to do.
And he has a pretty good team up in Toronto, right?
Yeah, he's going to run his own gym. He's going to do that stuff. He's a world famous star. If he feels that he's done, then be done. Don't let other people bully you into it. That's when you start seeing sad things in the sport. That's when you see people hanging on too long. When you see people getting forced back into it. You don't want to see that. Go out with all your brains.
Right.
Go out with I love fighting, but there's going to be a time when my body's done, and I'm going to be like, okay, I'm done.
Good. Believe me, everybody's got to make the decision. From me with football and like that, you're just like, all right, I got nothing else to prove. I'm good.
That's it.
My knees are okay. I'm all right.
I've done more than most.
Exactly.
I've created a few good memories.
Right.
You don't get to take it with you, so you did what you wanted.
Right.
That's the important thing.
So with that said, obviously there's a vacant title. And coming up in March, UFC 171, Hendricks is going for that title. They're already putting him back in that fight.
Yes.
So should he, obviously with the way that last fight went, should he have this title?
No. And first of all, a lot of people think it's the biggest robbery of the year. I actually voted it for GSP. Now, here's the thing. Did Hendricks do more damage? Yes. Did he win the 2 rounds that he won by a bigger margin? Yes. Did he win them 10-8? No. So it doesn't matter. Yeah, he won 2 rounds much more definitively than GSP won his 3 rounds.
Right.
But at the end of the day, that's how the scoring works.
Right.
It's not scored by an entire fight. It's scored by round. I had it 3 rounds to 2 GSP. Did I have the 2 rounds that Hendricks won clear cut and the 3 that GSP won ambiguous? Yes. But, anytime the term robbery is being thrown out, it's a robbery, it's a travesty. If it's a close fight period, it's not a friggin' robbery. It's ambiguous at best, so deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at the same thing with Gus and Jones.
Yeah.
And, we talked about that. You have to beat the champ handily.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bummer that's the established
Did his
rule,
face look like he got beaten handily? Yes. You know what I mean? But like you said, in MMA, it's not all about, what your face looks like after a fight's
he didn't really
over.
knock him down,
Right.
if I recall. I mean, he may have clipped him once, but there was no round where it was just, oh my God, it's almost over. There was no almost over moments. It wasn't, it was close enough that it could have gone either way, and it did go either way.
So we have a couple of obviously UFCs before we get to that, and he's got about 4 months, obviously about 3 months to heal up. Is that about the cycle? Is that the fight cycle?
Yeah, generally 3-4 months, 2-3 months, depends on how quick you want to get back in there, how much damage you took.
So we go now to coming up. Pretty much the only I think major thing left for the rest of the year. UFC 168 is going to be. It's actually a pretty damn good fight card.
Yeah, except it's $5 extra.
Yeah, I was just going to get into that. I mean, who the hell in their right mind says, well, this is going to be a fight card there. We're just going to make you pay extra.
Well,
for
because
it.
they think that they can get people to buy it because it's going to be, it's obviously got the super fight hype ability to it.
We had better fights the last 2 UFCs.
I know.
And they didn't charge $5 extra
and the
for
free
that.
one with Hunt and
Right.
and Bigfoot there, so that feels like a bit of a kick in the junk,
And then the quote from Dana was, the guys in the office made the decision.
Yeah, well, that was his
cuz.
cuz.
Yeah.
C-U-Z. I'm like, ooh.
Way to work. Aren't you the one that makes the choices between
Right,
you and Lorenzo? Aren't you guys that make these business decisions?
So the guys in the office made that decision, and no one sent that by your desk. You know?
Yeah.
That just kind of
Wait,
floated
you
past
didn't get that one? It wasn't a, hey, do you think we should charge $5 extra for that?
Right.
Oh, it's
I
just...
don't know. I gotta. Like I said, I'm on dicey ground as a professional fighter.
Yeah, I know,
But
I know. Listen,
but I
what
have,
you don't say, I do. So
there we go.
usually...
I'll just write it down,
That's
post it, and
Smoothie
send it
did
at you over
Yep.
there.
Smoothie did it. Here you. But for our $5 extra...
For our
$5 extra, so it'll be about $60 for this UFC. My wife's gonna love that. And
we'll go to what's it there? Go to the Warrior. Go to the Saltine.
yeah, there you go. Head on down, and there's plenty of places in this town to go watch UFC. I mean,
Weird,
you got,
right? Even though it's not like a big fight town,
Right.
Yet.
But every place that you try to go to, they're packed.
Yeah. Well, Saltine's never. Sorry, radio listeners, we're having a totally
go
separate.
ahead. No, that's all right. That's all right.
We're talking about local bar scene.
Yes.
Saltine's never been that packed.
No?
No. I've always been able to get a big table usually.
Really?
Fit 8 or 9 there.
We might have to make this happen.
Yeah,
I'm on vacation next week. So.
And I'm out of fight camp for a little while. And
do you mean?
I got
Do you mean we're gonna hang out outside of?
We could.
Wow! Look at that.
All right, don't let it go to your head.
I'm sorry. Damn it!
I'm not going to wear my Bellator hoodie or anything. I'm not going to wear this shirt with my name on it. No sponsored gear. Got to go incognito.
I don't. This is the problem.
Go under an
I
assumed
don't go
name.
incognito. I wear 95X crap everywhere. So
Free's the best price.
exactly. I don't pay for it. But we'll take. Listen, you're going to learn. We'll take sidetracks sometimes.
It's all about exploring.
It happens, right?
Explore the area. Really get out of there.
Yeah, it's that just got kind of weird. But Weidman versus Silva rematch. It's just one of the weirdest first fights they had. I guess the way it kind of
surreal is a certain, but it's hard to have a not surreal fight when Anderson Silva's in the cage because he doesn't fight like any other fighter. So
hence the name Spider.
I don't. What?
Isn't Spider? Isn't it?
It is Spider, yeah,
hence
but
the
I
name.
don't know how that
Spiders
gets
are
to-
kind of different. They do,
Yeah, but they're not really
things.
surreal. They're very real.
Oh,
I've
they
seen
are,
a
but they do
spider.
different things. No,
Okay.
they don't look.
As
They're not
opposed to what?
normal. I don't know.
In the spider community, they're very normal. If you're comparing a spider to a human,
I don't know
sure,
where the
I have
hell
not
this went.
weaved
This
with-
just went bad. All right,
Got south
it
in a
didn't.
hurry.
It went south fast.
I haven't eaten breakfast.
Yeah, I gave you a protein bar. It's the best you
that's
got.
true.
But what are your thoughts here on this fight?
I see Weidman taking it again, man. I mean, the same thing that worked before. If Anderson Silva goes back to old school style where he was still really keeping his hands up and stuff, it'll be a fight. But I think Weidman's got the tools, the athleticism, and the mindset, and that's tough to beat. He puts the pressure on. He keeps attacking. He keeps his chin down really low. Mm-hmm. He throws very tight, straight punches, and that's what a lot of people they get flustered when GSP's got it, or GSP when Silva's got his hands down doing his thing, and they just start throwing loopers. And when they're throwing loopers, he comes with straight, sharp shots and puts people out. Weidman didn't let that happen. He stayed tight. He kept his shoulders rolled. He kept his chin protected, and he kept moving forward and backing him up. And eventually, from a technical standpoint, for our fighter brethren out there, you'll watch what happens. Silva goes from being in a fighting stance and bobbing and weaving to coming parallel, which anyone that's spent a day or two learning fight footwork, if your feet are parallel, you're done. You're dead in the water.
Learn something right there.
You can't move laterally with your feet parallel. You can't move forward or backwards. You can just reset to your stance. You can sprawl from there, but he wasn't looking for a sprawl. He was coming striking. And his feet came parallel. He had nowhere to lean but back. He ran out of room. Pow. You go to sleep. So
if Silva loses this fight, is it time to hang it up? I mean, he's like 40-something, isn't he?
He's like 38, yeah. He's getting up there. Which, again, in fighter years, that's approximately 350. It's like an exponential thing. It doesn't go
He's got dog
linear.
ears. It's dog ears.
But, God. Anyway, it's hard to say because he just recently had a very bold statement saying, like, if my fight goes either way, then if someone tries to force me to retire, I will go fight elsewhere, So that's that. So clearly he's not ready to.
Even if the UFC lost him, does that hurt? I mean, do you really think that hurts?
If he goes to
Bellator?
Yeah, I definitely think it does. I think it definitely does because from a fan point of view, not a fighter point of view, I'm taking off my fighter hat. I'm going to take off my fighter shirt. No. Get naked in the
Please leave
studio.
your clothes
Okay.
on in the studio.
Sorry. It is chilly out anyway. The problem with Bellator. I mean, the problem that Bellator has, not the problem with Bellator. The problem Bellator has is trying to break into that mainstream where another league has dominated for so long, and a lot of people say, I don't like the fact that Bellator's been picking up big name fighters, but from other leagues. But the fact is, that's what adds validity to the undercard fighters. When a name like King Mo comes to Bellator and gets beaten, it shows there's top-notch fighters
somewhere else,
not just in the UFC,
absolutely.
not just in these one leagues. So yeah, definitely if he goes to a Bellator, if he goes to a ONE FC, if he goes to the World Series of Fighting, it adds validity to those other leagues because this is a top-notch fighter, and now he's mingling with these guys that are second and third leagues. That's what it does. But we need to have these second and third leagues. You need to have competition at the top. Just people are
It's the WWE syndrome. I mean, look, they have no competition,
and now they're kind of corny. It's terrible.
Kind of bad. It really is. But it's that syndrome.
Well, think about every major sport. There was the NFL and the AFL. There was the NBA and the whatever the other ABA.
ABA, yeah.
They just apparently change N's to A's. That's how you create a competing league.
Things different.
So if the AFC comes out, then we know
the
Ultimate Fighting Championship's in trouble. That's UFC, AFC. It's my logic. I'm sticking to it.
It's very good logic. Very
Thank
good
you.
logic.
It's sound.
So we'll see. I mean, you never know what happens there. We'll find out. And then, of course, the chick fight that is more like a cat fight. That's
so PC.
Yeah.
I am sure that the WMMA stars out there appreciate the
no,
term
I
chick
mean,
fight.
listen,
No, I'm joking,
listen.
man.
I'll tell you this. After watching Ultimate Fighter,
no, don't get me wrong. I believe that this is going to be kind of
This
mentality
one,
of a
this
cat
one
fight.
is,
This has the mentality, the cat fight mentality of
absolutely.
I'm going to rip your face off. It's not just a sport for them right now.
No,
I agree with that.
This is real, and I had a chance to talk to Miesha Tate just before Thanksgiving, and basically asked her, is there going to be a hug it out syndrome like some fighters that talk a lot of trash, i.e. Diaz when GSP beat him up, and then he all of a sudden, was hugging it out.
Well, there's something to that. I mean, that kind of shows that they're doing it for the just to draw eyes, which I appreciate.
These two aren't.
But at the end of it, you should shake hands.
Yes. So here was the answer that she gave me when I asked that question.
Really doubt it. That would be like hell freezing over. I mean, I just think at this point there's just so much that's been done and said that it's just kind of a lost cause, I wouldn't go as far as to say hugging it out, I'm going to do my best to be a sportsman, as I think it's important to do in this sport, for a sport like MMA that has such a bad rap at the beginning and people not supporting it because of, the quote-unquote violence of it and human cockfighting, all these things. I think what makes it a sport is when the athletes see it like a sport and they have sportsmanship regardless. So that will be my goal. I'm going to stay true to myself. I'm not going to allow Ronda to dictate me or change me in any way, shape, or form. So that's the one thing that I can promise that, I'll do my best to adhere to. But,
Gotcha.
Other than that, no, I don't think there's going to be any hugging, any exchanging for numbers or anything like that.
So there you go. She says there's going to be no hug it out.
No.
It's gone too far, especially after you watch The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
The pranks that they try to play, obviously, with the things that happen with her boyfriend and
then the
everybody.
insults
Yeah,
and the dirty words.
It's kind of ridiculous.
Well, see, that's the other thing. Don't bring others into it. If you guys got to fight, you guys got to beef.
Right.
You keep it between you two. That's old school. Not even MMA rules. That's fighting rules.
We call that man up.
Yeah,
man,
right?
Woman up.
Exactly.
Okay, woman up here.
Right.
So Rousey Tate, obviously no love lost here.
None.
Who do you think is going to pull this one off?
Unfortunately.
Really?
I am sad
really though.
about it.
I'm
sad.
going to stick with Tate. I have
I
to.
would love for Miesha to win. I just don't think she has the tools yet, man. I mean, her pure boxing is solid. Her clinch work is subpar, and Ronda Rousey is one of the best clinch workers in the game. Not even in WMMA, in the game.
Right.
I mean, judo, world, bronze, whatever. Amazing clinch work.
She could probably armbar anybody.
Yeah, and then on the ground, I mean, you said it coming in the first one. I know that she's going to go for an armbar. Yeah, you still get friggin' armbarred, you know? So unless she's been being armbarred every day, I mean, the wild card for me, though, in it is the mentality of it. If Ronda goes in all out of her mind, just aggressive and crazy and wants to turn it into a street fight, that's when you get caught, you know? That's why you do the trash talking. And if Mish goes in cool, then she's got a shot. But I think skill for skill, unfortunately, I give it to Ronda.
Ronda has one of the meanest mugs ever, and she looks like she's going to cry
every time.
There was a single time.
I can't remember where it was. It was on forums, the internet forums. I browse the interwebs forums.
A little bit.
I do. It's important, though, side note, as a fighter, any up-and-comers, you got to be able to, because there was a big problem recently with one of the girls from the Ultimate Fighter was really depressed. She didn't have a good fight, and she went on the internet where she was on the forums where she was a common goer, and people were just thrashing her, and she was really depressed by that. So, key is you got
to be able to take it.
It's tough.
You
it's not even
You don't think so?
Screw taking it, man. Just avoid it. Just get the hell away from it.
Good point.
If you know you didn't do something well, and I know I had a fight where my fight didn't go great, and it was, things went poorly. I had to stop going on I started to go on it, and I was getting thrown into a rage. I was getting depressed. I was getting pissed. I was like, forget it. I didn't go on it for 2-3 weeks.
Right.
And afterwards, came back. All right.
Right.
Cool down a bit.
Yeah.
You can't go and expose yourself to it when you're vulnerable.
You're right. I mean, it's kind of with Facebook and Twitter and any of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
anytime anybody does, I mean, we have the same issue, with the radio thing, and it happens. You know what I mean? Where you're right. You just have to stop taking in the negative.
It's a two-sided sword, You have to be on that. You have to get out there to interact with your fans, to spread your brand, to create an identity. But at the same time, you're exposing yourself to tool bags to contact you, to try and bash you down. People sitting behind a keyboard that have never done a day of training in their life, that never dieted. That is, I've been watching since UFC 62, though, so I know my shenanigans.
Right.
No, man, you don't know anything that's going into it. You don't know the mentality. You don't know the drain. You don't know the pain. But they're gonna tear you down like they are the proest of the pros. And you just have to be able to avoid them.
We go back.
If you try and just suck it up, it'll break you. Man.
Internet cowboys.
Yeah, man.
Internet cowboys. Everybody's
Wild
a tough
West
guy. Everybody's a tough guy. But this brings an end to Combat Smooth episode 3.
Crazy smooth combat.
Crazy smooth.
There's
all
sorts of. You just mixed up today.
I really did. It's right in front of me too. That's the sad thing.
Twice. It's a logo
really
on the page.
Hey, look, I make it look good.
It does. It looks pretty. It looks
man.
good. It looks
all right,
good.
we're gonna end this here. Thank you all that have listened to the last 2 that we've done. I think
hopefully spread the word. Go ahead and click that share button.
Hit the share button. It's not
sharing
that hard.
is caring.
It's not that. Maybe one day we actually put video cameras in here. Which
Maybe.
I don't know if you
Probably
want to see
not.
that.
You don't want to see it. I almost took off my shirt earlier. And just a minute ago.
Maybe they want to see that, like Chippendales action. How about that?
Chicka wow wow.
This wraps up Crazy Smooth Combat Radio episode 3. You guys have a good one. See ya.